we spent every year we would spend a good amount of time on that during our fall marching band camp before the school year started.
Yeah.
And then we would revisit it throughout the fall as well. I mean, we would rehearse. Marching band camp those are 12-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with breaks in between for lunch and dinner. And then once the school year started, we were practicing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 3 hours each day. And then if you have a game on Saturdays, then you get to the stadium, 5, 6, or more hours before the game starts so that you can practice on the field.
Yeah.
And then you're out, performing in the tailgating lots and at PK Park or Pape Field for people who are or at the Mashofsky Center.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of time commitment goes into it.
Yeah, and along with the athletes, the band does get just as much attention because you're right there with them, locked in step. Maybe if it's not you, like what have you heard other people use as a way to like kind of keep themselves from getting too flustered or getting too, too caught up in the moment or just forgetting the things they're supposed to remember to do?
Mm-hmm.
You or someone else, like what are some of those like motivational words you give to yourself to be like, I got this. I know. I remember. I gotta be here. And be like, just focus in the moment. Just lock in. And how do you get yourself ready to do any of those activities that the school had you do with the athletes also?
Well, I mean, like, if we take pregame, for example, and we're out in the tunnels, we know that, we have cues as to, okay, when the clock for pregame, as it's counting down, when it gets to, however many minutes left, then we know that, okay, we get our game faces on, we're ready to perform.
There you go.
Not necessarily words or anything like that, but we also have, there's a ton of cues, and it depends on whatever marching band you're in.
Okay.
In high school marching band, when we would do parades, and you'd have a sequence of, we're going to play, this tune, then we're going to have a drum cadence, and then we're going to play another tune, and then we're going to have a drum cadence, and then et cetera, et cetera. Our drum majors would have whistles, and we would know from certain whistle blasts, whether there was how many or the rhythms that they did with the whistles, that was our cue of this is what we're about to do.
Okay.
Whereas at U of O, for example, we knew that, okay, like I said, the clock hits this time, we're going to go start to line up, and then you're listening for who is the center snare player.
Okay.
And they're giving either a tap off or a roll off, and that's when you know that, okay, we're going to do it.
Man, band people, they know how to lock in. My goodness.
I wish my students locked in more.
So that, you take all these experiences you kind of build on from like high school, college, and then obviously all the camps in between. What would it feel like to kind of swap it and you be the person to help these other students as a graduate teaching fellow with the UO band? Like, was there a lot of involvement with you helping those other students, or was it just you kind of out in the front helping things move along smoothly or conducting if needed? What exactly did you do at that position?
It was all the above. And it was a very different experience as well, just because, when you're in the band and it's like band camp, for example, you're actively, you're more than actively involved in that rehearsal process.
Yeah.
Whereas as a graduate student, you don't have an instrument in your hands.
That's true.
So you're on the instructional staff. And so, excuse me, what we would do is we would be on opposite sides of the field. You'd have our main director at the very top of the stands or at the top of the scissor lift, and you'd have the drum majors on the ladders on the sidelines. And then the graduate students and other staff members would just be, around the field helping as necessary, whether it was, helping students learn their drill formations if they were consistently going too far or not far enough. Helping them with music. You're always listening to see, are they playing the music correctly? The graduate students also can take over for a rehearsal if the director can't be there.
Okay.
I also, like, part of my responsibilities too were if there were any instruments that needed repair. They were going into the back of my Volvo, and I was taking them to Pacific Winds Music in Eugene to get repaired.
Yeah.
as far as game day, a lot of those same responsibilities applied as well. And then in the second half, because there was two graduate students, one of us would conduct the band in the stands during the third quarter, and one would conduct the band in the stands during the fourth quarter.
Okay.
And so when you're doing that, a lot of people don't like. People don't know what they don't know, and there's a lot of people that think that band members don't necessarily know very much about sports, that they're just there in the band.
Yeah.
And I mean, basically, at U of O, we're called the athletic bands are called like the soundtrack of the Ducks.
Ooh.
And so we have to know what is going on, because whatever is going on is going to determine what we play.
Yeah.
So,
major stop on third down, fourth and like 1 yard line.
Yeah.
You gotta stop the offense.
Yeah.
Then, the songs that you play, it's like dun dun, something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly.
No, like now whenever the Ducks get a first down on offense, the band starts playing the theme from School's Out.
Oh, yeah.
And the student section has figured out that that we do that. We start playing that, and they start doing their arms. It looks like they're doing the tomahawk chop.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily that. It's because the ref is signaling for a first down by going like that. So they're essentially emulating that.
Come on, guys. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not doing other things.
And the other thing, like, this was a huge difference in how the band played and what they played from before Chip Kelly got to U of O versus after Chip Kelly was at U of O. Because, before Chip Kelly was, and his influence was there, we weren't a, up-tempo spread offense
I remember that
team. And so you had a lot more time where the band could play in between plays while the offense was still, in their huddle. Whereas now, I mean, this goes for college band, it goes for high school band, is that your band has to stop playing as soon as the center on the offensive line addresses the ball. And if the band plays over that, they can be penalized.
Yeah.
Because of artificial noise, or technically it's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Yeah, because then as a former player, you hear if a trumpet goes off and about to snap the ball, then that could be like taken as like a false start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember they, before my freshman year, the band would play sometimes for 30 or 60 seconds in between plays, because you would have, well, not 60 seconds, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They'd have a lot more time to play because they were, doing the huddle. They were running the play clock pretty low before before they snapped the ball. Whereas, as soon as we went up tempo, it was like, okay, we need to figure out what we can play in 10 seconds, because they're going to snap the ball in 10 seconds.
Yeah.